So Mike asked me to gather a couple maps.
Sure.
So you want me to?
Yeah, you want to present? Oh.
Yeah. You want to come?
And I'm not taking over the meeting. I'm just here because of this outlet works. That one didn't work for me last time.
Okay.
I'm not assuming control. I'm just
No, you can assume control.
I have it on.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was going to defer to you. Are you going to take notes too?
I'm a note taker. Yeah.
Trying to do both. Did you get logged in? Are you in the?
I was before, so I'm hoping that it's saved. It says it's available.
I was going to, but Mike had a couple requests.
Okay. If you want to start with Mike's.
Are you in now? Okay. Katie has been logging in on her login. So, we might have to get in, like, we have 3 bigger maps, so we might have to get into like 3 groups. So maybe that might be a group, this might be a group, and then over here. So Mike asked us, he emailed me about 1 o'clock, and he apologized because he thought he asked for this after last meeting, but he didn't ask us until about 1. So Scott worked on this feverishly. But first you have the Wiley. So Lucia and Carol, you might want to join.
Any USD employee can log in.
Can you have a Brittany?
Yeah, it's just your own USD login. So
Okay.
any USD employee can log into it.
Yeah.
For this person or anybody else.
Thank you. Do I need to use guest?
So,
Come on. Open for
as you guys know, I think everybody in here was on the tour last time, right?
Thank you.
So, Lucia wasn't. So Lucia, last meeting, we toured Wiley.
Thank you very much.
And we talked about, Brittany, you were here last time too, right?
I was, yes.
So, we talked about how we might use that space as a 6th grade center, where classrooms might go, where entrances would be, how many rooms we use for electives, where we might have lunch, those kinds of things. So, Mike thought he emailed us and asked us to kind of bring a map, but Scott put something together really quickly this afternoon because we didn't already have this. What you have on your little paper is just a really rough sketch from several years ago of the last time the conversation when we were talking about renovating Wiley as part of the 10-year facilities plan. This is the map that was created. So we haven't done anything to this in several years. Did everybody get a little one? Okay. So Scott, I don't know if you want to talk through the little one.
Yeah, this was just keeping Wiley as a two-strand elementary. So it's adding a gym, fine arts, and then renovating the old gym for the cafeteria and then renovating the rest of the school.
Which is kind of our standard model, right? At every remodel or renovation of elementary, we provide them, we make sure they end with a multi-purpose space, a new gym. We've been adding a lot of classrooms. We weren't really going to add classrooms here.
But that would be another option. Add a few more classrooms and you could make the 3-strand and stuff.
So Mike asked for a Wiley drawing, which again, this is a very old Wiley drawing. You also have a chart that Scott provided you a couple meetings ago about the cost, I think it's even in the folder, of like if we were to keep Wiley and then add a few classrooms, what that cost might be. Okay, so that's Wiley. The big chart that you have, and I apologize because Scott was working on these right up to prior to the meeting, we don't have copies for everybody, but if everybody could kind of hover around the 3 copies that Scott brought, I will have him kind of talk through. This is what it could possibly look like as a 6th grade center.
And again, this is very early.
Very rough draft sketch.
The blue block is new gym. We have adjacent locker rooms and also a fitness room. So it gives you some multiple spaces for physical education. The pink area is a new main office and also student services like counselors and psychologists, that kind of thing in that area. Green, again, is fine arts, primarily music, because they want to have a taller space, so we put them in the addition. And then the renovation would be, the whole building would be renovated, but then the old gym would be the cafeteria, and we renovate the kitchen. And the idea on this one was we have 3 teams, so kind of one team on each end of the building, and then one kind of in the middle there. And in this one, to accommodate that one team in the middle, we looked at moving the library down kind of closer to the office there. And there'd be a couple of courtyards that could also be used for outdoor education. Yeah, we added a set of bathrooms and we renovate the 2 sets. And then off of the gym, the locker rooms would have restrooms as well. Basically, had 4 sets.
And then is this the new parking, and then the parking is not going to be here anymore?
So we haven't gotten approval from the city yet about the Anderson parking, so we're still working.
We're hopeful that we can keep the perimeter parking and add some parking as well as some drop-off.
It looks nice with that drop-off and stuff, but there's no room for a soccer field and track if we do that, right?
I didn't lay that out yet.
We didn't put that in there yet.
To the left-hand side there, I think we could do a soccer field. I just started to look at that, but I ran out of time.
The other request that, I know we don't have our whole middle school group here today, but from the middle school folks who were with us last week meeting, is they wanted to have a kind of dual entrance into the new space, so the teams that are on the north side of the building have their own kind of entrance into the new space. So you can kind of see that little blue rectangle there that kind of is, like the hallway.
Yeah, the light blue is the main hallway.
So that the team that is the furthest north doesn't have to walk all the way through 2 other teams to get to the new parts of the building. We talked about keeping asphalt play because basketball is kind of a big thing at middle school level, not needing as much. We won't need a playground, but we definitely would want to keep some hard play space. And then again, as Scott already and Carol mentioned, we already had talked about repurposing a lot of that grassy area for a potential walking path, like track walking path or soccer area.
How far is it from Wiley to the
1 mile.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably less than.
Because I know the middle school often uses that their park, and I would think it would still be accessible to them.
Oh, absolutely.
That's good.
And just a semantic thing, I'm not sure we should call it the 6th grade center, because that's making it separate from the UMS. It's the 6th grade building that's part of the UMS. They are joining the UMS, they're doing sports with UMS. I don't want to see more administration here. I love administrators, but we don't need to have a principal and associate principal. So it's a 6th grade building and it's part of the UMS. It's just on a different campus.
So yeah, we talked about that last time, I thought. So when Mr. Cooper would continue to be the principal of Urbana Middle School, and we'd have a 6th grade campus with a 6th grade administrator, which is what we have right here, right now. So we have a 6th grade administrative team. That administrative team will follow.
But calling it a center makes it sound like it's not part of the UMS. It's a sixth grade
It
building
would be
that's part of
the
it.
sixth grade campus, but
Well,
still part of UMS.
the other sixth grade centers, they are known as like Gateway Sixth Grade Center, Highview Sixth Grade Center, Owasso Sixth Grade Center, Silas Wood Sixth Grade Center. So it still could be UMS Sixth Grade Center with that
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, we're definitely not trying to separate because we'll be sharing teachers and resources and sports and clubs and, yeah, all that. Questions about this big map? We'll make sure Brittany gets a hard copy to put with the notes.
What's this grade part of it?
What's the little car, looks like a little checkerboard in the middle?
Oh, I think that was just looking at, like a concrete area. in the
Oh, in the courtyard. Oh,
Hard
that's the
surface, so
courtyard.
There would be two courtyards.
Yes, there would be two
There would be
courtyards.
two courtyards.
And I remember, you can't see it on here, but remember we had talked about the existing gym and kind of repurposing that space
We had it in there, I'm trying to remember where it was.
So the teacher's lounge would be in this.
in the new part, yeah, because the
Where's
teachers might.
the existing admin center right now, the office?
It kind of stretches right along here. It's really narrow.
It's very small.
So what would this be then?
Just offices.
We were going to open that up and have kind of common space.
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be right outside the cafeteria, so it'd be a little gathering area, and space in between classes.
So for next week,
Okay, wait, I don't know if everybody can hear you because we got like 3 different conversations. No, I just want to make, because Jackie's asking questions, you guys are having fun. No, I'm not calling you out. I just want to make sure, if we're answering your questions, there might be questions that the other 2 groups have too.
I feel like when we're in the large group, like we're not doing as strong of a job advocating what the needs are. And so what I'm wondering is, are we having time next week, or are we voting, or do we know what's happening next week? Because I'm a little confused if it's our last time. It's our time.
So we have one more meeting. I mean, I think we'd have to decide as a group, like, when we added the 2 July meetings, we kind of decided as a group that we needed more time, so we haven't done that yet. So I don't know if we want to have Rakai, don't you in here. If we add that at the end to talk about if we feel like we need another meeting in August or not. But Amy's saying no. Yes.
So do we have a list? I mean, I know this is going to fall a bit more on the 6th grade teachers, but do we have something that we can communicate to the whole group about why we need this?
Should that be in our notes from our first break?
Yeah, I think we've had some, like, Brittany's got some good notes from our first meeting that I think,
Well, do we have notes from the breakout groups? Do the breakout groups want to
The
kind of?
developmental group, we, like, really quickly, Natasha had put something in the phone that she just shared with me. But it was just basically I don't want to say negative, because they do a lot of positive, they learn a lot of positive things from each other, but developmentally, our 6th graders are just not ready to mingle emotionally, physically, academically, any of that with the older kids yet. Because they're coming from those structured requirements to, hey, we have all this freedom, and they're not ready for that. So Natasha, when we talked with our group, now of course I'm not going to get it. She had said some of the things that we came up with developmentally is she found some articles and shared with our group. 6th grade students test better when they're not in a middle school, so when they're in a more grade level environment, they test better. 6th and 8th graders are in different developmental stages, and so the 6th graders are easily influenced by the 8th graders, but they're not mature enough to handle and know that they're making the right decisions. In the moral compass, we talked about the shock of transitioning with classes, where in elementary typically you are walked to all of the places. We're here, we say it's time for lunch. Figure out how you're getting there. You need to stop at your locker and get something out. You need to figure out how you do that and then go to lunch. Family conflicts and worries. A lot of times they have older siblings, older cousins, sometimes aunts and uncles that end up coming in and getting them wrapped up into their stuff that's happening in their levels. Sexual exposure, lots of spaces to hide from staff. That was recently it's been a big issue. Well, I'm sure it's been, but trying to keep them in one space is very difficult. Unity and expectations of rules. We're free to choose however we want to do our classroom management, but if we have a standard set of rules, but it's hard to get them all to follow the expectations, which is normal with children, I guess. Better surveillance, so if we have enough adults, which we're short of, to be in the buildings, to be in certain places where we know the kids can go and hide and make sure that they're getting to the rooms and places they need to be. Safer environment away from other influences. I'm not saying sixth graders don't have their own issues and conflicts, but when you expose them to older students, they don't always know how to make the better choices or the right decisions for themselves because they're being influenced by others. Stepping stone to confidently transition into the middle school environment. So teaching them the skills they need, lockers and transitioning from room to room, so they're comfortable with that before you send them to a larger building where they have to figure out where everything's at. So they have the skills, which is why a lot of our students will say, Mrs. Hench, can I just leave my coat, my book bag in your room? And I said, you have a locker. Yeah, but I haven't gotten in my locker since first quarter, and I can't remember. It's where you have those expectations and they use them every day. You're in a smaller environment. And these aren't just 1 year, we see these things every year with sixth graders. They're just, a lot of them are just not emotionally or mature enough to mix with the 7th and the 8th graders, especially when they have to transition through the 7th and the 8th grade hallways to go to their elective classes.
And 6th grade is a big developmental stage as well because their body is changing. Some of our girls tend to change faster than boys. So, I mean, noticeable things, then you get body dysmorphia, you're concerned about the way you look, about your peers judging you. You're easily influenced into doing exploratory behaviors, smoking, sexting, things that they can be exposed to more if they're with older groups of children. Because 8th graders are probably doing way more than a 6th grade should know of. So that would be a concern. Moral concepts, and then just basically trying to find their identity of who they are as a person, I think is also important because they're learning that with actions there's consequences, and they're learning that they're more intense consequences. It's not like when you're younger and you get in trouble, you get scolded. They're actually learning that consequences are more harsh to their decisions and choices.
Maybe even better to be in a smaller environment where they can explore who they are in a safer, I don't know, I mean, here there's just too much. But in a smaller environment, they can really, because I've seen so many of the students, it's like 1 week it's this and then something else that's different. But if you're free to explore who you are and you're safe, you feel safe, then I think it may end up being better developmentally in a smaller space than in a larger building.
So it sounds like they have a lot of needs that they've identified. So what we could do for next time, just like so who said that, Jacqueline, to get us something concrete to get us to our presentation or something. If all of your Lindsay and Brenda and I know Natasha stuff was in there, if all of that's in there, then we can take that and start putting it into a PowerPoint to at least have the needs identified.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think
for the
also,
next meeting.
can I point out, and I'm just for the success of the presentation, I would definitely include as much data that supports the points you're making and those
The SEL,
articles.
yes. Yeah.
You know, make sure. Yeah, I would limit like the generalized statements and just like totally focus on
Sure.
supported points in the data and because if the more emotional argument we make, the less it's going to go across.
And a lot of the data, I know you guys weren't doing academic data and discipline specifics,
I have it.
but, oh yeah, I was gonna say, Ruth shared a lot of that, and you probably had a lot of what she
I
shared.
just started math data for 6th grade.
I think, I know the point in her sharing, part of her point was to make a point for keeping 6 elementaries, but the academic data and the behavioral data that is shared and that we see, to me, helps also talk about, if we already know there are 0 5th graders coming in with proficient levels, then taking them from a class of 25 to 30 students and then putting them in with 950 is not helping them greatly. So I think in the 6th grade center, there's more opportunity to individualize, more opportunities for small group, more opportunities to address some of those academic needs.
I think that's why
Whereas
it's good
here,
for
there's just so many kids, we're not able to address those needs.
I feel like that's good. Why it'd be good for all the subgroups to share their points so that we can
Yes.
maybe start supporting each other's points, so we can have a cohesive. Because like obviously our charge specifically is to argue for what's best for the middle school level, right? I mean, so yeah. Why don't we let the other subgroups talk?
No, I haven't added it. I haven't put my dog down, so I've been like super depressed.
But
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask is where is all of that? Yeah, I didn't know like
where is what?
where are the forms and stuff. So that's why I just,
Sorry, what forms?
So
Right,
is Natasha stuff in the folder?
No,
all that
this
stuff
is, we were
you
supposed to
said.
sit
Yes.
together and type something up,
gotcha.
but we didn't have our computer, so she really just took notes
Yeah.
on her phone
Okay,
and sent those to me.
so if you could put all that, and Lindsay, when you have a chance, put all your stuff in the same.
I'm okay now, but it was very stressful.
Yes.
Because the power went out and then you had it. So it's really hard to get data on the emotional development side. It's more psychologists and articles based from, therapists, psychology specialists.
Yeah, and that would be,
And we can link them, I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's harder to find data on.
but there are articles about developmental.
What you got, Amy?
But I wonder if Cooper couldn't pull data from just 6th grade referrals to show like some of that developmental stuff that's going on. Because like, that's part of our data too, is they're developmentally obviously not ready to be in this large of a setting if we're, obviously I don't know that 6th grade's typically the grade that has the most referrals, but
I mean,
that would be part of our data to say, compared to how many coming from 5th, like what's our 5th grade referral data? We could compare it to 5th grade referral data compared to our 6th grade referral data, just overall to see what the difference is between a smaller group setting that they're coming from into the middle school and a large group.
And we can do, we can have 1 or 2 slides devoted just to discipline.
You know what I mean?
We can have, yep.
Because I just pulled academic data, and if anybody would love to see that, it's really pretty.
Are we able to pull behavior flip, high five, whatever it's called now, data also? Because in like the subcategories of, respect, all the different.
And that's the difference with the elementary data versus middle school data. It's classroom-based. The small minor things at elementary are coded as referrals, as well as the bigger things. But at the middle school, the smaller things aren't coded. So the data Ruth was sharing was not apples to apples.
Right, because I will try every time like to do a behavior flip event instead of an ODR, just to try to handle things, That would definitely.
Just for the sake of time, we're down to an hour. I do want the other subgroups to be, just so that we can all support one another and try to become cohesive, because if we want to make a PowerPoint, we're going to have to kind of, so what were the other groups? I know you were in finance.
Special program.
Finance, transportation.
Staffing and finance.
Just give everybody an opportunity to kind of give their piece, and then we can all talk about what we want to present on our PowerPoint. And we can talk about what reports we want to support that and all of that, and make sure everybody gets their little point touched. So, did you want to say anything about the finance? I got one very 5-minute opportunity in the financial subgroup, so I'm worthless, but maybe.
So hopefully everybody can see it. I emailed the document to Mike to upload into our folder of just the bullet points that we had talked about. So we kind of had 3 major bullet points that we were circling around that I think this, here's what I had trouble with. I think the stuff we're asking is out there, but where to find it now in the sea of data requests has become a little bit harder. So how much is being spent on the staffing for the 6th grade currently, and then how many new staffing positions will there be necessary?
Which is exactly what we did.
Yeah, we have that. It's in the folder.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't know what, I feel like there's a folder that I'm missing or something.
It's
I don't
hard for
put
me too,
anything
because
else.
I have it's hard. I wish I could just pull it up and have everything that's available, but I only get to
Because
see,
I just have been trying to find most of
suggested
our
things.
stuff in the 6th through 8th grade subgroup folder.
I found yours.
Yeah, so I just, yeah. And so then in the 6th through 8th grade subgroup is where I've just been trying to find most of our stuff. So if there's stuff somewhere else, I just have missed it because that's just where I've been looking, and then I've been looking in the elementary
So
one.
in the whole folder, not just the 6-8 folder, there's a data requests folder, and there's a document in there called staffing levels. So it gives you costs for a 2-strand building, a 3-strand building, and a 6th grade center.
So see, they're perfect. So we figured what we were asking, but we just thought that would be nice to kind of, I know Shauna, right?
Yeah.
Shauna and I were talking about maybe even having kind of all those numbers side by side to be able to see them
that would be
all
a great
together.
slide to
But it's
include.
hard because we can't it's once the form is in there, you can't touch it. So we were trying to copy and paste it, but it was kind of I couldn't even upload to it. I had to go through.
Could you maybe take a
Mike's.
screenshot somehow?
Well, we want to edit it and put.
Well, we can give you editing access. I think we just didn't want 50 people editing, but if you're the person for your group, then
It seems to be that way.
yes.
So yeah, and then we really looked at, obviously that was the staffing side, and then the financial piece of that being kind of then looking at the numbers, if Wiley is closing, how much would be saved because of that, and then how much
of that savings would go toward
yes. So
staffing
here's then the
sixth grade
additions for the 6th grade
center.
campus, then what does how do those numbers hash out?
Yeah,
So
I think that would be-
again, that was just us, or me at least in particular, missing the resource that was already in there.
I think that's information people would definitely want to know.
Yeah, there is, the file that Dr. Evertate just talked about would show the 2-strand costs and 3-strand costs, and Katie they did find the savings from it being closed currently. So all those are in there. And then we asked the superintendent team to say, how many additional staff do you think it might take, right? So we're moving 6th grade staff over, and then who are we adding? And there's a little tab for that, and that was about 310,000, I think.
That
Just
sounds for
370 or something like that, yes.
But you can't hold, right, the Wiley numbers is 1-point-something million because it's entire staffing. So if you wanted apples to apples, you would still count your 6th grade staff that you're moving over, right?
Which is that number in there? Do you remember?
No.
The
So we
current
don't have current 6th grade
cost.
staffing. But we do know that we would need to add an additional approximately 300,000 to the budget.
Additional stuff.
Yeah.
So the question is, how much are we saving? In staffing?
Over 1.2 $2 million or something.
In staffing.
With
Because we're only
the
gonna-
closing of Wiley, Katie
Yes.
drew up, she compared the numbers and we moved some people over, right?
So
we're still paying.
310 compared to.
It's 370,
Yeah.
because as we said earlier, we wouldn't be creating a whole new staff. A lot of people that are currently here would be going over there. So we need like an additional custodian, additional librarian.
Secretary.
But it's not really an additional.
Part-time
because
nursing.
You're losing from Wiley, you already had a custodian there, you already had.
Sure.
Well, so Katie was explaining, like, that's already done in the budget, right? So as we go to open whatever's next, it will be additions, because we will have operated.
But it isn't.
Right, but pulling a custodian from this building, I mean, I know only 2 grade levels would be here, but the full building would still be in use. Like setups would still need to happen, cleanups.
Yeah.
We would be leaving a large number of DL students here, special ed students here, so it just makes sense for certain positions to just add. Like, we don't want to take the nurse away from this building because the nurse here is heavily needed. It would make more sense to share a nurse over there.
Yeah, I think what she's saying is there already was a custodian at Wiley that we're saving that money for. There
Yes.
already was a nurse at Wiley that we're saving that money
Yes.
for, so it's not quite.
Really not 300. Can I go back to what we were talking about a few minutes ago when they were doing the SEL stuff? I feel like what we're missing in this presentation is one of the proposals that they're making is a K-6. And so when I was listening to what you were saying as a elementary school teacher, I was thinking, I could say all the exact same things that you were saying, but we're going to flip it. So I want you to compare a 4th grader with a 6th grader. Developmentally, emotionally, the decision-making, the things they're exposed to, everything you said between 6th and 8th are the same things we would see between 4th and 6th. And so I think that one of the things we might want to have in our presentation, or at least in the structure of it, is we need to look at that K-6 and why the K-6 would not really be the solution or the answer. Because for those reasons, for SEL reasons, you see what I'm saying?
We don't have enough space to keep all the 6th graders at the elementary buildings. That's just.
So, but that, I think there should be a slide, because I still am hearing the elementary group talking about a K-6.
Even redistricting.
Articulate why a 6th grade alone center would be better than 6 to 8,
Than
and
K-6.
also better than K through 6.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
we
at the
can do that.
end, why don't we, after everyone, we talk about what slides we want to include for sure.
Because I would not want to see a K-6, even if we had the space.
Well, it kind of goes against part of what we're trying to build and foster in the kids to become successful 7th graders and future 9th graders. If
And-
they're still with elementary kids, they're not learning a lot of those.
That also goes back to the, when we were talking at the very beginning about the certifications. So it is different to have a K-6 building than to have a 6-8 building. Because now you're back to more self-contained.
Do you have more? Transportation? What's your?
I think that's all we put in. I think we dabbled in talking about transportation costs, but,
What additional info did you need, Brittany, to?
well, it sounds like a lot of what we're wanting is gonna be on that staffing levels page. For some reason, I can't.
No, I meant for
Oh.
transportation.
Oh,
Like, were there
well,
things-
we were talking about, like, the things that we had written down initially were like activity buses for
Oh.
advanced students, is that right? Maybe
We
because
have
they were
those.
coming back here.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know what this means, but I wrote down travel time for elective students. Anybody?
Like bands? Is that bands?
So,
Were there maybe
Travel
some
time
things?
for the teachers,
Oh,
not
okay.
for the, so we're not
So
gonna have kids. moving.
Contractually on that, if teachers are traveling, then they would have to have a period to travel.
For travel.
So that means they're contractually required to have a 30-minute duty-free lunch, so they can't be traveling during their lunch. And then a prep, which has some bigness to it, but it's 30 minutes.
At least.
And then contract reads has to be decided by the homes building, so whatever admin is, so there are teachers assigned to this building as the home admin, then that would be an agreement of what safely can be done from traveling to one specific. So probably if we're looking at what elementary does, it'd be a 30-minute travel.
Yeah.
And one less period that you could teach them.
And one less period.
But there's,
Is there a
Is what it-
schedule where
are we
you
able to
go?
move on? So
I
I'm
would,
just-
I would like to, yeah.
Are you gonna move to this group?
If there's other transportation things, can you send them to me so we can make sure we
Yeah, I
find
think.
out what you needed for that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is gonna be, I know we have the activities buses, but would that allow for more cost in the use of needing those? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like with advanced students and how that would work and how that would operate, but just, I
Like,
think
yours
that's where
would be able to fit majority of your students that are going to take advanced classes on
On one bus.
Right, yeah.
Right.
You're looking at 10 students at most that advance in math every year.
Okay.
That pass the qualifications to advance. And then you're looking at, rarely do you find anybody advancing in science, social studies, or language arts.
Okay.
It's a majority is math.
But one of my, and going back to the transportation, one of my biggest questions and concerns about this is I do have an advanced place student, and they're not providing that transportation from 5th to 6th for him this year. Are you going to be doing it next year? Like, you know, that's a huge question, because if not, I want my kid over here where he can keep in math. So, I mean, I think that it's important to know for us families that do have those kids that are advanced place, that those are still gonna be options for those kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And we would be able to, I think what Amy's trying to say is we can do that with one activity bus.
Right.
We're not gonna be running like 4 or 5 buses back and forth, because it's just not that many
But
kids.
what I'm saying is you're not giving our children that from 5th to 6th now. Are you going to give it to them from 6th to 7th? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Could you be moving them from 5
But
buildings to here?
if they're a 6th grader,
No,
you're
my-
saying they're gonna be accelerated into like a 7th grade or
Right.
8th grade, right?
Right,
So yes,
but, okay.
we're not providing transportation for 5th graders to come over here.
Right, so
That is
now.
not something that we do, yes.
Right, so that's what I'm asking,
That would
because I
be
do
why.
have an advanced place kid that is now not getting 6th grade math next year.
Sure.
So I wanted to know if that's even something that's in the realm of possibility for having.
For
them
future, if we
isolated
had a
as
6th grade
6th grader.
center,
Yes.
would we provide transportation? So I think that's another whole conversation. But definitely, we would provide it for 6th graders that needed to go to 7th or 8th. Like, and we have kids here who go over to the high school for 9th
Right.
grade and stuff. So, yeah.
one more and then I will be done. Is there going to be then any additional cost for like, it's MTD, right? Or who
So
we
we
do
talked to
like
MTD
busing?
about
Okay.
that, and because of the, like, we have green, help me Joe, green, orange, brown, red. There are enough 6th graders that they would like pull one of the green buses, and it would be a dedicated green bus just for 6th grade.
Okay. So it'd be within what we're already, okay.
So would the time stagger from the middle school?
No, not it, I don't think so.
They could though.
They could, but.
But if you want electives to work, no.
We can't change the schedule because of electives.
Or if you did a full period, if you could do a whole 50-minute, or however long your periods are. Then one school could have first hour, and then the second hour they would be online, and then they would just dismiss.
But then you'd run into after-school activities that wouldn't be at the same time.
Yeah.
Athletics, does that fall under, like, are we busing kids over? Can 6th graders still participate on the track and baseball?
Yeah, they could. I think we would, yeah, I don't know how many 6th graders do that. Are there a lot of them that play up on 7th and 8th? Yeah. So we
Track,
just have to
I would
figure
say
out.
track usually has the most.
Cross-country.
Cross-country.
Usually have several baseball players in the fall.
And then for the most of the other ones, I would say anywhere from like 5 to 6 at the most are on your junior high or your middle school, your girls basketball, boys basketball.
So that would fall under, like, the school would help get them over there?
Yeah. And it also gives us another gym to practice.
Yes,
So the
yeah.
practice could be at the 6th
Boys,
grade.
well,
center.
boys and girls.
Yeah.
The fight over the gym here is ridiculous.
Yeah, so we give us another gym.
But now it's really nice. That
Couple
one
of
would be
different
too.
gym spaces, yeah, to utilize.
I think because I wasn't even thinking about it before, earlier when you said it would be one UMS campus, or 2 campuses under UMS, which would speak more to the ability, I would think, 6th graders to have access to
Oh,
UMS.
sure.
To 7-8 UMS for academics, athletics, extracurriculars,
Clubs, yeah.
especially because it's walkable, right? It's within a mile too, so a lot of kids could just walk too.
It would help bridge transition
Yeah.
in the future when they.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
Just a couple comments about the age difference, because actually the evidence out there is that K through 8 is the best way to do it, so you have an even wider thing, and some of it is the culture of the way of the school, but those schools, most everybody switched away from them over the last couple decades, but they did best, and part of it is every time the kids move to another district, that's when your behavioral and academics are set back. So we want, if we do a 6th grade campus, we want it enough so we don't have two sets. They're set back when they move to 6th grade and set back another year because they move to another school. I think part of the problem here is the middle school is too big for a middle school. There's just too many kids here. But the K through 8, you know, you have all those ages there, and you might very well, 7th and 8th grade, they're moving to contact classes, but you're still in the same building, and you're all in the same community the whole time, and you don't come to 5th grade, you're top, and then you go to 6th grade, you're bottom, and then you go 8th grade top, and 9th grade bottom. And by the time you move as a 9th grader, you're much more mature than you are as a 10 or 11-year-old moving to 6th grade when you're changing buildings and community. I mean, we're not going to look at K through 8, but it's not just the age difference and stuff. There's other stuff we can do that can help.
But we do, in a K-5 building, we do spend a lot of time trying to keep our 3rd and 5th graders apart from each other. I mean, because of all those issues. I mean, even though we are in one building, we are actively trying to keep them separated on the playground. We're trying to keep them separated at lunchtime. We're trying to keep them separated when they come in the mornings. They're going to different hallways because we know that that's an issue. And maybe it wasn't as much years ago, but it's becoming more so. I mean, the kids are much more knowledgeable of things we wish they weren't.
I can attest to that.
So we keep giving them cell phones. Like, where's the adults here?
Can the 6th grade center have like really strict cell phone rules?
You want to move to the academic?
Yes.
I'm serious.
Services,
Yeah, we did.
What did you decide the
I've
name
seen
of
it
your
a lot,
group
but we
was?
didn't.
So Amy did some base, kind of gave us a perspective of what a schedule would look like.
Can I interrupt you just for 1 second? I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. I have you guys under like special services. Is that what you would call
That
it?
and like exploratories, dual language, sped services, it's kind of all encompassed under
I
one.
think maybe like programming?
Programming.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought,
I just want a better.
No,
I wanted
programming works.
A name for the group that made sense to me. Thanks.
No, you're good.
And does that include the behavioral services? Under your
Special education.
So, special ed services, if it's so, I think what was discussed was students who went into a specific programming such as life skills or intensive instructional, which is usually our EBD programming, as 6th graders, if they needed that programming, they would still come to UMS here and get that programming here.
That's what you're saying. If even if there was a 6th grade center, those programs would still be housed here,
Yes.
regardless of their grade level.
Yes.
but I think what the SPED team said, that if there was a student who had the capacity to maybe be independent enough to be in
Yes.
6th grade, they could try it.
Yes.
And then if it worked out, great. But then if it didn't, then they would.
There are
switch back to-
typically no more than 5 at life skills, and that's a lot. That'd be pretty, and maybe 5 coming, and 5 for intensive instructional is huge. So you're looking at less than 10 kids in total.
And
Would
this-
that be holiday?
Per grade
And Holland
level?
too, because
Per
those
grade level or like?
yes, because those
Okay.
teachers cover all 3 grade levels.
Yeah.
And so that way, instead of trying to reprogram that over there, it would just, they would come here.
I think for next year it's like 7 kids or something.
What?
It was like 7 kids or
Yeah.
something for next year. So it's really small.
It's under 10,
Okay.
typically every year.
But they also go to gen ed we have Ms. Hollis' class, they go to gen ed classes, and if the sixth grade classes are over there and they're over here,
Yes, so it would most likely they would not be with their grade level in sixth grade.
They would be bumped up.
Possibly, or it would be different programming.
A
It's,
lot of times with really intense needs like that,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily always take grade level classes anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
They might be a seventh grader in an a sixth grade art class because it fits better with their schedule.
Yes.
Or an eighth grade art class because it fits better with
Yes.
their schedule.
So then as a teacher, you would adapt your lessons
Right.
to reach
Yeah.
grade level.
For sure. Makes sense.
No, you're
Okay, go for it, special programs.
Okay, so Amy did a lot of groundwork, and then there were questions. So like, is there enough space for exploratory and services? So then from that, I did last year's schedule and this year's schedule of literally what each one of those teachers teach, and then the number of the classes that are currently sixth grade. And then what does the space look like now for UMS, which was answered when we did the tour, and then what would it look like the sixth grade center, which was answered here, so that's linked in there. And then I requested the schedules for the past 6 years because COVID, I knew that would be a weird wonky schedule, so then 5 is always a good number. So then from there we looked at, will teachers who travel between UMS and sixth grade center need a travel period? So the answer is yes. The minutes of that is to be determined. Then what is the maximum of students for an exploratory teacher per semester? So an exploratory teacher can only have 170 students per semester. So you kind of have to watch how many are going to be in a space or rotating in and out. Now that could be that you take 170 divided by 6 periods, but some classes are capped because of the need of that particular class. So there's a lot of things that go with that. Is it possible to have an elementary, fine arts, PE, etc. travel to sixth grade center? Yes, it is. You have to watch the 170, and they have to have a prep, a lunch. Typically, the lunch there can't be any duty during it, so no travel. And then prep, gray zone, and then track time. So then, what does the schedule look like? What is a team teacher taught fifth period? That was my question, which they already teach fifth period. However, I don't know, because I haven't met with my team yet, what is an average size for those classes? So it seems
Small.
7 to 10. Okay.
Yeah, they're all, they're mostly
Okay.
intervention classes.
So I put in
Yeah.
for 7 at this time.
That's, yeah.
So then, do team teachers already teach fifth period? I already said yes, as of now. How does that affect the exploratory population? So then I went through, because that all happens, so when they go to exploratory, 6th and 7th and 8th period. During 7th period, from my knowledge, teen teachers don't have any classes. However, 6th and 8th will waiver. So 9 have classes 6th period, 7 have classes 8th period. That's because of prep. So then my question that I just added, because someone brought up, was what does that mean for AVID? Because you have an AVID teacher that's on another team, another grade level, and you have an AVID teacher that's on team with sixth grade. We don't know yet, or I don't know yet. So then by numbers, it seems like if we do a half day, we would need 4 PE teachers / health teachers, so that rotates, to actually fit 300 kids into those spaces. And then 12 exploratory teachers, ideally. So then what does that look like? So 4 PE teachers, I'm assuming 2 art teachers, I just threw that in. I don't make any of these decisions. 1 media, 3 music. I don't know the numbers of those sizes, so I put in 15. I haven't gotten an answer yet, because those fluctuate too, whether you're in beginning band or if you're in regular band. And then the other 2 exploratory, one could be AVID, and then the other one is the gray zone. So what happens is if you only do 11, and you don't do 12, then if you have a mass of 6th graders one year, then suddenly you're going to be hitting that 170 number. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes
Okay. So then also, during those 3 periods, you have reading dimensions, math dimensions. So that means that would be 2 reading dimensions based on the schedule now, would be their half day. 1 math would be their half day. And that still leaves, if we do that, 28 students during 1 period that don't have a spot, 91 and 21, unless you add that 11th and 12th class extra exploratory. So that's just something to think about.
So Rusty, you
Hold
gonna
on,
put that
one
in
more
the
thing.
folder? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
hold on. So what about the possibility of rotation schedule or having some exploratory be their full day? So let's say, if we're looking at the schedule now, 1 6th grade team is on 8th grade schedule, 1 6th grade team is on 7th grade schedule, and 1 is on 6th grade, what it looks like now. So then what that does is I'm just gonna use myself, or my counterpart, Janice, could teach 6 6th grade art classes throughout the day. So then no one's traveling and you're still meeting that need. You could then have 2 PE teachers teach 6 different classes all day, and then, or health, and they wouldn't have to rotate buildings. Media, that could be potentially, so if we do, like, we have 6 media classes, then that teacher would be there all day. Or you could do 3 and then 2 other exploratory. So the only thing is music, just based on what I'm seeing in the schedule, would potentially have to be in a half day. So you would have PE, 2 PE teachers there all day, 1 art teacher there all day, and then half teachers could be media, music, and then whatever we're deciding on the other exploratory. So it kind of condenses. But then if we go with just doing exploratory and services in the afternoon, then that means 12 people. Definitely 10, but probably 12 would have to go over. So then that means the teacher's here, so if my counterpart is here, this is what I'm trying to piece together in my head, then she or I, whoever's here, could then offer, there would be 3 periods open, or 2 periods open, so that would be another 7th grade and another 8th grade class. Now, if we travel, there's only 5 periods, because travel time is during one of them. So then you have a deficiency here, but you're filled there. So that, we haven't discussed any of that. That's just kind of what they have. And then the last question was, could the librarian be part of exploratory teachers? I don't know. And then just the links to the collective bargaining, so that you get.
And we have that as an additional position. We call it media tech / library, because there won't be enough classes for a full-time librarian because of their certification.
Right.
They can do media specialists too. So we thought that person could do both, library and media tech.
I just want to ask kind of a follow-up question. So would your findings or suggestions, sorry, I'm layman here, but would that kind of impact the financial, because you're kind of running 2 different options here? You're like having staff travel, which would be not nearly as much of an additional cost. You know, paint that mileage is what, 53 cents, 54 cents right now. But
Losing a period to teach them.
Yeah, the instruction period is what you're.
So we'd have to put money to both options.
Yes.
So, because right now we have in
If
our
we're actually-
additional, we added PE, health.
So I don't know if you guys would want to discuss.
Well, that's kind of where.
I don't know if it's worth. I don't know if the difference in cost is worth.
Rusty just wants to
Working
put
out.
that in the document,
Yes.
we can put money to it.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
That's what I was asking. If it's even worth presenting, if it's a significant difference or not.
I do believe
know.
a difference, not just for money, but for the continuity of the lost instructional time too.
Yes, so
think
I
that's
would
the
say that there's also wealth in the instructional time,
Yes.
because then you're paying people when they could be teaching.
Well, I'm
tackle
guessing even
something.
retention, teacher retention, you know, there are probably people are not going to.
And then I would also, just
Nobody
as
likes
a
to
side
travel.
note, in my
Right,
list.
that's what I'm saying, people, you know, if they're gonna be offered one position where they travel and one
Is
where they
for
don't,
like,
because may.
climate and culture, so like for example, that means half of the day over there, only exploratory coming, then there's 12 less teachers in that space. So that also like the things like advisory or who's gonna help with what or what's gonna happen in that space, or is the kid gonna see 2 different art teachers all year, or is it just gonna be one? So that, I feel like that's the value of it, and I'm not concerned.
I just gave you access, so you can dump stuff.
And I think the big question when looking at all this is, will this work for the 6th grade center?
It can.
Yeah, and the answer is yes.
We
It
just have
just
to
possibly might
look
need
at the
more staff.
budget.
Yeah, either option would work.
Because
It's
at the end
just
of the day,
trade-offs
that's what
for
we're
either
looking
one,
at,
I
isn't
think.
it? Will this work?
Yeah.
Either one would work, it's just which one is more beneficial to the students
Yeah.
and which one maybe costs less.
And one's going to be a bigger change for the teacher, because you're not going to teach your 4 courses, and then have the electives the last 3 in the afternoon. Because you don't have to teach an art all day long, so you can't have all the electives at the same.
Right.
That's where music would that's where I think the downfall would be the music program. I
When
think,
you
right?
say music,
but
is
there's-
it band in music or music?
Like band and strings.
There's been a taught in years where we haven't had all of our core subjects at first, and then they go to electives.
Yeah.
We've taught where we had core subject,
And
they
there
go to an
is-
elective, they come back. We have done that.
And I feel like Urbana has a really strong music department, and part of that is.
Fine
because
arts,
you have-
like our whole fine arts
you have
program.
Teachers who are meeting with band students in 5th grade, and then they transfer them here, and so there's technically 6 different people. So I think that would be a discussion with them, I don't want to say anything in their behalf, of what,
It would look like.
what are possibilities. That's what I'm thinking.
Having been here for 2 meetings, I apologize. What about the dual students? Is the plan for them to be there 2 6th graders?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So dual teachers will be traveling because many of them teach other grades.
It depends on, some might have to, some wouldn't. Those who only teach 8th or 7th, or just 7th and 8th. But some, there's one dual English teacher that teaches 6th, 7th, 8th, but everyone else either 6th or 7th and 8th. So it would impact 1, maybe 2 staff members, special education, bilingual special ed.
We just need to clone Wendeley's.
Yeah.
I'd like to clone her.
Yes.
Okay, and so the facilities, I don't think we have anyone for facilities. Raise your hand if you're on the facilities subgroup. I don't think we do.
What were they looking at, do you know? Like, what were the?
I think.
Because we've covered a lot of the.
Space usage of this
Yeah.
building and maybe, different ways.
One
I
thing
feel
I
like
do
we
with the
covered a lot
6th
of
grade, without the 6th grade, how would they restructure the, I thought that's what they had mentioned. was
Oh,
like doing a
Patrick was
map
gonna do
of-
that, but he's sick, yes.
Of like, if without 6th grade, what would it look like to redesign and cover up some of those like spots you can't see?
Yeah.
They won't have any trouble filling the space.
I think that was Patrick was
It'll
gonna.
be harder if you guys come back.
Maybe Joe and I could touch base with Patrick to see if he's done anything with
Well,
that.
and I'll be really good too about getting notes and getting them up so that the facilities people can see and so they can see what we did today. And if they have something they want to add, that they can certainly do that and know how to do that. Janelle, did you want to bring
Well,
up a point?
and maybe this has been said, is it if we do the 6th grade center, do class sizes, is that an issue, sizes or just spaces?
For electives, it would be class size.
Okay.
Spaces, I don't think were the issue.
You
It
mean
would be-
here or
No, I said, like,
there?
say 6th grade stays here.
Yeah.
Then the first meeting we were talking about how there aren't enough classrooms.
Yes.
If everybody stays, right?
Yes.
Now, if it splits, and we're not adding staff, is like class sizes remain the
We
same?
would be adding some staff, just not,
But enough that it's like,
Yes.
are we reducing class size or is that not really an issue?
well, we have some contractual language around class size that we, just like at elementary.
Sure.
So I don't, I don't know that it would change significantly because the
It
teams
wouldn't
won't change.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, so it's literally just like a pick up and move
Yes.
type
The
deal.
issue
We're
here
not-
is there's not enough space.
There's not enough classroom space.
Classroom and
Too
teaching.
many bodies in one whole area.
And not just in the classrooms, in the hallways,
Yes.
and the arrival, and
Yeah.
dismissal, and lunch, and.
So what we're mainly addressing is passing period issues, exposure to older students.
Specialist teachers, not, and I don't mean like exploratory teachers, I mean teachers that are teaching out of closets that are
Yes.
like
Yeah.
recently added teachers, like
Yes,
yeah.
interventionists.
So
So
we
they
need
will
more
have
space.
Space.
more
The room we sit every day
space.
reduces the
That
classroom
would solve that
figure
issue.
instead of a meeting.
That was my question. I didn't know
Yeah.
what more are we solving than just.
Yeah, I think that's an
hallway
important
transition?
point to make.
Yes.
And Mr. Russell,
The
they don't
just
listen
that
to
will
that.
change.
Well,
He
one
gave
thing,
me a
this,
printout.
that we need the spaces.
We need the
Of the
space.
space
Is it-
for you. I couldn't find my copy.
Well,
He had a hard copy. Mr. Russell made a list of the rooms they were missing and people doubling up, the teachers
Okay,
doubling up.
yes, that should
Yes,
be-
we have that list.
I
is
think-
it on, is it shared on the
I
share?
don't know if Patrick put it in the folder, but he
Is
has
this
a
relevant
list
to-
of all the people that are doubled up in closets
That would be
and stuff like
super.
that.
Okay,
Okay.
that,
I think
that would
that's a
help
strong
drive
point.
the point for sure, because we don't want kids learning in
And
closets.
it's data.
Yes,
It is.
It is. That's,
It is.
and that's what we want. We
Yes.
want to have a foundation.
Are there
on
other
the point.
facilities things? Because while I have Scott here, I think we've given all the square footage stuff. We've now got 2 mock-ups. I can't think of anything else facilities wise that we would need.
This is like that.
So the next meeting, do we have breakout group time, or are we presenting, are we meant to present our
Well, that's all, we
final?
can do a straw poll if y'all want to meet again.
Like have one more.
Or you're meeting in between to get this ready.
Yeah, because that's what's gonna drive our next meeting, or what we do in between now and then. Do we have another meeting time as this group, or do we need to have a final presentation the next time? That's gonna really influence what we do right now. So, do you
So
know?
we currently do not have an additional meeting.
After the 25th.
So that is currently our final meeting, but as we added the other 2, another one can be added. That would be kind of like how we voted to change the time.
Yeah.
So it would be the people saying, we want an extra meeting because we want to do this one more time together before we present. Or the people saying, no more meetings, I'll see you in our small groups next Wednesday on our own.
And I can see both sides. I
Yeah.
mean, do we want to do a quick raise of hands, like, we've got 19 minutes left.
So
So
you're
do we
saying-
want to work individually until our next meeting and have something prepared? Like, what I was gonna say is, we all come up with what points we want to make in a PowerPoint, and someone each can volunteer to create a slide, then someone can volunteer to combine those slides, someone can be the presenter,
Good old
you know,
group projects.
pretty much, yeah, the thing we all
We have to know
love.
how much time you're gonna have. If we're gonna spend the entire meeting, then you divide that up, and how much time do we have to voting, and then you have citizen statements at the beginning, which could be long.
So I thought what you were asking was, do we want to vote, like when we
Do
go
we
back
wanna
in
vote?
there?
Do we wanna have
Janelle and
another
Kaya
meeting?
say, do we want another meeting?
Or do we want to,
So I think you need to decide as a group,
What do
what
we
is
wanna
the,
use?
what is
Do we
the
want to
wish
have
of this
another
group?
working meeting
Right.
before we have?
Do we want next meeting to be a working meeting and then add one to have a vote?
Are we voting?
a
or-
presentation / vote?
Presentation and
Hopefully in
vote.
the Google
So
form, but we
for
have to
me, it seems like maybe we need to already plug stuff into slides, come in, share our slides, make edits, and then I don't know how voting's gonna get done.
So that, I guess, we're trying to help you guys pull all that together, right? Because I mean, we're working and you're on summer break. So if you guys put everything in the folders,
Okay.
it's easy to just pull and make a slide. And
Right.
so we could build like a slide template, like a draft slideshow, a slide deck or something, and share it with the group, and everybody look at it and say, well, we didn't get, that's not represented, or,
So
and
then-
we can like go through this
Did
tape. We're recording, right? Yeah.
So
The
then
recording
maybe
will help.
all 3 subgroups present to everybody?
Yeah, that's my question too.
Yes.
Is that what that
So
looks
not
like
our
in that-
subgroups, I was thinking we would all be one cohesive
Yes.
group.
Yes.
And we would present, but yes,
Right.
There's
elementary,
three groups
middle,
that will
and
present.
high will be presenting in there.
And
So
then we
that's
have
set
to
for
vote.
next, or
Yes,
that's
and then
set
we will
for
vote
26
based on those
as it
presentations is what I'm
Yes.
guessing. We will vote on what, so I think cohesively, we need to agree, we are presenting a sixth grade center.
Right.
Yeah, that's the next thing that I was gonna ask.
Yes, so we all need to just be on that same
Would
page and move forward with that.
present that why not to have a K5, or K6, or we
No,
just?
I don't think we touch that.
Just,
I don't think, I mean, I'm not trying to just slam that, I'm sorry, that came out wrong, but I think we just focus on,
These are our needs, and
this is,
how they
yeah,
get
these are the
addressed.
current middle school needs, this is how we think would be best to address it.
This is how we use Wiley to address those needs.
Yes.
Yep.
And so my next steps, do we want to, how do we want to use our time? Do you guys want to meet outside of and be prepared next meeting time, or would we rather use that meeting time that's already set up and add a meeting? I'm guessing that would be the only way to do it.
are the presentations timed?
Probably.
When we're there.
I'm guessing we're gonna have a 2-hour slot, 6 to 8.
Yep.
So it's like the opening, the citizen statements, we review the PowerPoint.
From
then
each subgroup.
Each subgroup presents.
Each,
And then vote.
yeah.
So I think the goal is we don't want to have like an hour-long board meeting, like board presentation either. Like, so each group gets 15 or 20 minutes.
Yes.
to
Yeah,
present.
I would say
So
that's a
like
great
K5,
goal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like K5,
15 to
6,
20.
8, yeah. So
Seems
that
like-
it ends up being an hour,
Okay.
but all 3 areas are presented. That gives time for questions, discussion.
Gotcha.
So,
So if everybody, like, we're doing our emotional developmental, so that would be part of a slide. And
Yeah.
then the
Yes.
other would be part of slide.
or slides, yeah.
Because we just.
So we
did
break it up into, so
Yeah.
the 6-8 presentation would be broken into the small groups.
Okay.
So the beginning of it would be here
But
are
then
all
we
of our
could pull it all
needs.
into one, you know,
Yeah.
presentation,
That sounds
and they would all
like a-
support one
Yeah,
another.
that just sounds like a better
Yeah.
option.
To have
So-
one, are you saying to have one person present for all of the
It could be
groups?
multiple.
We don't have to, no, I'm just
But
saying,
it's one presentation for the group.
one presentation, one PowerPoint, so that we're
It would
not,
probably go faster if you had one person just do the whole thing.
probably, yes, but if someone felt passionate enough that they wanted, I'm not gonna say no.
Like
But,
about 4 minutes, around 15-minute presentation, right?
I'd say
Around
15.
4 minutes per sub in this space.
that sounds fair.
Okay.
So,
Transitioning, you're gonna lose a minute.
but my question I keep coming back to is, do we want to work on our personal time in the meantime? Do we want to have people do slides and turn them into one person who combines it all together into something that makes sense? Do we want to use the next meeting time and add a meeting at the end? What are we feeling?
Well, that's gonna go for the whole group to add a meeting, so
Right.
there's no guarantee that that's
Exactly.
even a possibility, so.
You were just
the
trying to
best
get a
thing
feel
to
for this
do
group.
Is to have one person who can edit and then figure out how to.
So for formatting purposes, I'm just gonna say this again. If you guys put all of your stuff in there, like 2 or 3 of us can put together a basic, like boom, here's all the 5 groups, here's all the groups. And then we can put in the stuff that you guys have in there, then you can go in and
And edit it.
add.
Yeah.
But
That
then
sounds
that
great.
way we kind of have a shell built,
Yeah.
right, for each.
So you're saying
So
your level,
we
we
can do
provide that
Me
shell
and Kim
and we can go in,
I'm gonna
okay.
nominate Joe to help me.
Could you do that for elementary also?
How do you know? I'm just talking about 6-8. Elementary's gonna do.
Okay, great.
everything.
Thank you for
Yes.
volunteering that. That's a big help
So
because
you guys
that
are doing all the gathering, we're just
Right.
gonna put it all together in some slides for you.
So how did they end up in here?
How do we add stuff to the folder?
this is a dry erase, right?
I will let you, yeah.
This is dry erase?
I just have-
Okay, so I was, all right, so what topics, what are must topics for slides? Like, that's my thing, like, what are must? Obviously, what,
The list of needs.
yeah, middle,
Is that a- is that
current
a
UMS
category?
needs.
Is that our
Sixth
subcommittees?
Wouldn't that just be the subcommittee?
Yeah, it would be the
Yeah.
subcommittees.
We divided it up to the subcommittees, so developmental,
I'm talking about slides though, like
Yes, we need one slide of current needs.
current are we saying just sixth grade needs?
Yeah.
Six,
I do think
Well,
there-
6-8.
And I'm
I think
sorry.
this is
Yeah,
6-8.
you were
This is
right.
6-8 needs.
I would frame
Yeah.
6-8, it just gives a little bit more power, no more weight.
do you think
because
UMS?
Current
by
UMS.
moving sixth graders from this building.
And I'm sorry if this is not big enough.
Strengthens and
right?
benefits.
Small.
the
7th and
experience
8
of
too. And we
Yeah.
haven't talked about that because we've been focusing on 6.
It should be a.
But
slide.
having 300 kids out of this building is
And
going to hugely
I'm gonna
benefit.
take a
giving them
picture of this
space
and
here.
include it in the notes if it's too small, sorry.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna start out just what do we need? What's going wrong at UMS? What do we need to fix?
I think we could do, before that slide, give like a little demographic. We have several new board members who maybe don't know as much. Like,
Just UMS?
just a slide that says UMS has this many students, and here's the racial demographic, and here's the number of kids in special ed, and here's the number of DL students.
It's like you've done this before.
Yeah, so that would be like a demographic, like intro, like here's some info about UMS, and yeah.
Okay. UMS, so demographics, and then we're gonna jump right into the needs.
And the demographics for people who don't know how to run, you got teams, but you can't keep the sixth graders separate from the others because of the election.
And that is all gonna come out, I think, in their little small groups, right?
Okay.
That's part of the needs though, too.
Yes,
Well,
that's part of
I'm
the
thinking
needs.
Yeah, organizing, so people who don't know how the school runs, that's a big.
Yes, I think that is, we can put a schedule, we can do some basic, yes.
So I think needs is definitely going to be more on like the social emotional side, right? So it's probably going to start out with your guys' slides, I would imagine, because
Yeah,
that's where
because the scheduling and the financial stuff.
Well, we just
And
uploaded all of the
facilities.
articles
good.
that we have.
But needs are more than just SEL. I mean,
They're
we
also
got
academic.
academic, we got behavior, we
Space,
got
facilities.
attendance.
Yep.
I
we
just
got-
uploaded each sixth grade team's map data scores for math and reading. Academic from
Academic,
sixth for this, and
attendance.
And that
That might be demographic.
it's broken down by team.
But no class has more than 25%
Spacing.
exceeding,
Space.
meeting or exceeding levels on the math test, right?
What?
And I saw nobody, in the whole school
Okay.
thing, nobody.
So then I think from there, Brittany, it goes into the different groups, right?
Right, yeah, this is where, so like facilities would handle probably the spacing
And
needs.
that's terrible.
So this is like a general preview slide?
Yeah, I think, Brittany, I think this is
These
just a
would each be
preview
slides.
slide.
Well, I mean, this would be this would be like a general slide, but then we would have probably a
Breakdown.
slide that would address
Yes.
each of these, and I feel
But,
like.
and all of those currently fall under one of these groups, right?
So I think that
So
first slide
academic and attendance would
is,
be programming, academic and attendance would be programming.
so I think the first slide is what moved us to the decision to go talk about a sixth grade center? And
Yeah.
that would be this slide, like all of these needs.
Why?
In a general way, but
Yes.
then these groups are gonna like dive in.
Yes, thank you.
Why? I stole this, I shamelessly went through this desk.
So that slide where you have current needs is basically a why a sixth grade center slide.
Yes, sorry, why?
Yeah.
Is it not?
It'll, you know, it'll be, I'm
Good try.
gonna take a picture and I'm gonna put it in the notes. So
Okay.
yeah, why a sixth grade center? As opposed to, I don't think we need to get into all the other because we could go on and on, but
Those are the
our
answers.
charge is just,
Yeah, the answers are
Yeah.
above.
Yes.
but,
That's your stuff there, yeah.
so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, and then, obviously,
Sorry, Brittany, I think, right, we're gonna, that to me is like a preview slide, and then these guys will write their own slides,
Right.
right?
Well, I'm saying
She's saying
SEL
she'll-
needs would probably be that group.
If we just put it in
Academic
the
and attendance would be the programming group. Space issues would be the facilities group. They would address the
Okay.
needs, and then the why the sixth grade center would fix that need. Same with each, you know, they could have a slide on what's the issue now, a slide on how are we going to fix it with the sixth grade center. What is the issue now? How are we going to fix it with the sixth grade center?
And then after you do all of that, then you would talk about, and here are all the benefits that we get from having a sixth grade center in terms of the programming thing, all the stuff that Rusty shared.
Like a culminating statement.
Yeah, like the positives.
Okay, so she has graciously offered to put in a shell of a PowerPoint. So I can communicate to Mike and Patrick and the other individuals on the facilities group that they're kind of charged with space.
Yeah, Patrick needs to create, I don't have that list.
Do you want me to start a Google Slides?
Of like who, I don't know.
And then, okay, so programming, I know that you guys kind of get more than everybody else, but do you mind making a slide of academic and attendance needs and how a sixth grade center would fix that need, fill that need? I can edit.
Yeah, we need a behavior
We'll give
data
all
one
of you
too.
guys editing access.
Behavior.
We need a behavior data one.
Yeah.
What's that?
Probably with it, like behavior data.
Behavior.
Well, that's what
It is SEL, but they're
But
talking
it's-
more about like the developmental stuff. This group could say, here's what the data says
Okay.
about our students and their behavior
So
due
be
to these developmental.
number 8, behavior.
Yes.
Maybe out of
Sorry,
order.
Like that would be like ODRs, suspensions, maybe, they already changed my behavior flip, so I can't pull it.
Do you need to
Expulsions,
clarify,
all
because
that.
I think one of the things that happens
So
is
disciplinary.
Yeah,
when we're sitting there in the audience and somebody comes up and says something, we don't answer back, we don't have any, you know what I mean? Like stuff gets thrown out and it just kind of floats around.
Incorrect
Like today.
stuff, yes.
Yeah, and like today with, you said they're comparing apples and oranges, but that wasn't stated when it was said. I know it's not the structure of the meeting.
Sure.
But I think that can be kind of confusing. So I still feel like some addressing of some of the points that other people are still throwing around, I still feel like there needs to be something a
We
little
can do
bit more
that like
defensive.
maybe in like a Q&A kind of way, like questions.
Things that we've
Things
heard.
that we've heard.
Like I said today with, people saying, hey, once you make this a sixth grade center, it can never not be a sixth grade center. And I'm like, well, that's not true. But you hear that and then it doesn't, nobody's addressing it.
Yeah.
And I would still say continuing to encourage them to come to the building. When we have 900 and some odd children trying to transition at the same time. Because then you really see why we need it.
So we'll create,
And that's the space
I was
issue.
going to email all of you guys once. Is there a list of like everybody's name in one of your documents?
Yes.
Okay.
Under facilities,
Subcommittee.
there's everybody's
And
email and I'm in our sixth grade sub.
Okay, so when we create the Google slide, we won't put it in this folder, we'll just give you guys like
Okay.
editing
And then-
access as a Google slide.
I made a Google Drive folder for each subgroup, so I don't know if that's easier for you.
So there is
then-
one.
So that I can there's a 6 through 8 subset.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, got it.
Micro
Yes.
sub.
So then I thought maybe if stuff was placed in there, that might be easier for you to figure out.
So right now there is, in the 6th through 8 group, there's a developmental exploratory.
Yeah, I made it.
She made that.
I did that.
That will be easier.
That's what he's trying to tell us.
Yes.
2
Okay,
minutes.
so we've got 3 minutes, yeah. So
I keep looking at that clock and it's wrong.
we all understand that we're gonna try to fill in the shell PowerPoint. We're gonna try to meet all of these topics, cover them all, and I will again include
And
these.
who's gonna do the
So
actual
we will
presentation?
try to have something maybe by Tuesday. I'm gone Thursday.
Does anybody want to volunteer to present? I'm happy to do it.
Joe raised his hand, he missed it.
So,
I saw it.
but I'm also not personally knowledgeable.
You mean at the board?
Brenda, do you want
The board or for here?
Presentation.
Oh, yeah.
So you're gonna do it?
So is the goal to vote next week? Or the next
Right
one?
now, as of right now,
So-
that's my understanding, our goal is to go to the
So
next
Janelle, when we
meeting.
go back in there, are you gonna bring up with Rakai?
If we go back in right now, we
Yeah.
can.
If we can have one more meeting?
I guess, is that a general preference?
I of this group, I guess. is what-
Yes.
Well,
To
I'm
not
also
have a
wondering,
meeting or to
instead of
have
doing
it?
that 8 to 10, whatever minute share out at the very beginning, if that instead is like,
Work time.
like, maybe like a little bit of
Tuning.
work time to get together with your group
Yeah.
before it is presented to the whole group.
Like 20 minutes?
20 minutes, work in your groups, get your presentations ready, if that's what it's gonna, like, if they're, because I'm a feeling there's a lot of people that don't want another meeting.
Well, you can
Yeah.
see from the attendance.
So I'm wondering if it's, for
Why
the
don't
next
anyone really wants
agenda,
another
if maybe it could be like that, where the work time comes at the little bit at the beginning, then it's presentations, and then it's however we're moving.
Well, and then we're gonna hear from everybody in that meeting. Do we
I don't know.
share them?
No, not, I mean.
Yeah, no, we won't have a share tonight. Yeah.
How is it gonna work for people who can't come?
We will get back to
To
you on
vote,
that.
yeah, we're gonna investigate the voting part.
Yeah.
Hopefully it can be through like a.
But they also would miss the presentation.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you make it
Can
required?
you do streaming or something?
Is there a way to make it like required that you have to watch the presentation before you log and vote?
Oh, we could do that. Now, we did that with DL.
Yeah.
Like, we made people,
Like a viewing party?
no.
Right.
There's a way, yeah, you had to.
You had to click and open something before.
So we knew you looked at the information, so you weren't just voting cold, you actually reviewed.
I
like
would like
just
that,
like
because I know
charging.
I can't be here.
skip.
I would like to be able to see what people presented before I.
Yeah.
It would be
We can record
here,
it, maybe
hearing.
we could videotape it.
Record it.
Like, I know we audio tape everything, but maybe we can.
For this one, yeah.
We can't do Zoom because it's a OMA violation, but we could record it.
Yeah.
Put it in a folder and make people kind of watch it. Like, you don't get, like, we could go through and see who watched it.
And how long would
We gotta
people
go.
have to vote? Like, they have to do it on
That's a good question.
Or do they have 2 days?
People watch it.
When are the results gonna come out?
Yeah.
We will send you a great email.
Oh, within 48 hours. Like, you wouldn't be able to last.
Because then how are you gonna present the findings? So say we all vote and then 2 days later, how do we find out?
We'll just have to do a lot of email. We'll just have to do an email.
We need to offset the earnings with
Right, you can share things via email.
And the travel time and the loss of teaching time for the teachers that, I mean, you're gonna have some of that in the cost, but.
Yeah, I can, I can do that, let me add a recording to my notes and say, add slide about why increasing elementary class sizes is still worth the 6th grade center.
And maybe there's another sort of con of doing it too. You know, it's just whatever the top cons are.
Right. I need to, there's no eraser.